It is a comfortable 64 degrees here in New York City, and it is time for baseball as the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball. It's the New York Yankees against the Toronto Blue Jays in the second game of a four-game set from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball. Along with Paul O'Neill, I'm Michael Kay. Well, when the Yankees were put together during the offseason with all the injuries during spring training, well, everybody expected a big drop in home runs. That has not been the case for some reason. They've stepped up, they've hit the ball out, and last night was no different.
Well, again, you come into the season, you figure out how you're going to manufacture runs. We're going to use speed. No, Vernon Wells comes on the ship late, and he goes deep. Dead center field, his sixth of the year. But the big blow right here, bottom of the third inning. You're used to seeing Robbie go there. This is his seventh. That changed the game right there. And later, Francisco Cervelli gets into one, hits his third of the year. Guys that were supposed to be punch and Judy hitters are now power hitters. The Yankees are cranking them out.
And the Yankees actually are doing okay against lefty starters. Mark Burley started the game last night. The numbers don't indicate it, hitting just 209 because their right-handed hitting lineup doesn't look that imposing, but the most important thing, in 8 games, they're 5-3, so that is the bottom line. Let's take a look now at the New York Lottery pitching matchup. Yankees face another lefty in Aaron Laffey. Josh Johnson was supposed to start, but he was scratched from the start because of a triceps injury. Aaron Laffey started the season with the Mets, was really ineffective, so he'll get a go here with the Blue Jays. And Ivan Nova trying to give the Yankees some length will get the start for the Bombers, 1-1 with a 6.14 ERA. And if he does a good job, maybe Mariano Rivera will come in to save the game. He did last night. He continues to be Mo. How's that possible? He's defying Mother Nature. A guy who's also doing that, Paul O'Neill, will tell us why. One, two, three, ninth inning yesterday, and take a look at his numbers this year. 7 for 7 in save opportunities, 8 innings, 6 hits, just 1 walk, and 7 strikeouts. Third time in his career with 7 saves in the team's first 21 games. So pretty amazing stuff by the ageless one. That's Paul O'Neill. I'm Michael Kay. Paul, you've gotten older. I've gotten older. Why doesn't he get older?
He gets older. He just doesn't get any worse. The thing is, we get worse. But, you know, the thing is, if you look at his career, it's amazing what he has done, but the reason that pitchers get hit is because they make mistakes. Mariano makes less mistakes than anybody I've ever seen on the mound, and he does it with one pitch. And that's the thing that we talk over and over again, but how else can you explain it? He mastered a pitch, nobody can hit it, and he continually gets outs.
But isn't it weird that at the age of 43 he's still throwing 91 miles an hour? That's a little odd.
Absolutely. But, I mean, look at his body type. He's been lean his whole career. He hasn't lost anything. His arm speed's the same. He really has never had major arm problems, and he has great mechanics. So things haven't changed. He still gets outs and saves.
You don't look that old, by the way.
I feel a little old.
All right, we got second game of a 4-game set coming up. When we come back, lineups, first pitch, baseball. Those are the 2 teams that are coming up next right here on Yes. Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by American Airlines. The new American is arriving. By Jeep. Visit Jeep.com to learn more. And by Kettle One. Gentlemen, this is vodka. Please drink responsibly. Beautiful night for baseball here in the Bronx. Yankees have taken the field. Ivan Nova taking his warm-up. So we'll take a look at the Blue Jays starting lineup put together by manager John Gibbons. Blue Jays are 9-14 on the season. They'll lead off their DH Rajay Davis. Colby Rasmus, the center field, bats second. Batting third and playing right field is Jose Bautista. Edwin Encarnacion at first base cleans up. Batting fifth and playing left field, Melky Cabrera. J.P. Arancibia will catch. He'll bat sixth. Batting seventh, playing third base, Brett Laurie. Meiser Isturis, the second baseman, will bat eighth. And Munenori Kawasaki is the shortstop, and he's going to bat ninth. And that lineup is going to face a young right-hander, Ivan Nova. Nova with a 1-1 record, 6.14 ERA. His numbers should be better with the stuff that he has. He's trying to get deeper into games and be more consistent. 19 hits and 8 walks in 14 2/3 innings. So way too many base runners. 16 strikeouts. Opponents hitting .339. Let's check out the pitcher's scouting report brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers.
Well, he's struggling against right-handed batters. They're hitting .452 off of him this season. But he has pitched very well against the Toronto Blue Jays in his career. 2 or fewer runs in at least half of his career starts against them, and he's 2-0 here in New York. So get past 5. It's been talked about a lot. He hasn't gotten past the 5th inning in a lot of his starts. So, that's what they need. You talked about length, Michael. Good day for him to go 6 or 7.
Davis is ready. Nova is ready. Let's do it here in the Bronx. First pitch is a strike, and we're underway. Chad Fairchild is the home plate umpire tonight. And the 0-1 to Davis. 0-2.
You talk about being economical and saving pitches. Now, this is where you save pitches. You're 0-2 on a hitter. You either, you don't waste 2 or 3 pitches. You don't go 0-2, 3-2. And that's where you start accumulating a lot of pitches. Make it happen. Get guys out quick. And here you go. You bounce a curveball, then you throw another ball, then you've thrown 5, 6, 7 pitches to a guy you could have got out in 3 pitches.
And there's a difference between waste pitches and wasted pitches. That's one wasted pitch. He's probably not going to swing at it.
No.
So he just threw a pitch just because he didn't want to give up a hit on 0-2. Fouled away. And I blame the managers and the pitching coaches for that, because they drive it in the pitcher's head. You can't give up a hit on 0-2.
Yeah, it is a lot different now, and you'll see a lot of pitchers go after guys 0-2, try to make pitches just to get them out. And if you're a strikeout pitcher, you're going to throw a lot of pitches anyway. So you might as well go throw your best stuff 0-2. A lot of hitters, you have too much to defend.
Well, Davis making him work now. That got a piece of Cervelli.
Ouch.
Now the umpire is giving him a chance to shake it off, asking for some baseballs. And Steve Donahue will take a look.
Umpires and catchers kind of take care of each other. The umpire, if he gets hit, the catcher will go out and talk to the pitcher to give him a little time, and vice versa. Stevie Donahue, I'll tell you one thing, he better get track shoes. It seems like I've been here a few games. It seems like he's out there 2 or 3 times a night now. Everybody gets banged up out here.
Steve Donahue and Mark Littlefield, who works with Steve, they have been busy with all the injured Yankees starting in spring training.
Stevie does a great job. I mean, hasn't missed a step since Gene Monahan decided to call it quits. Ouch! Right off the hand.
Now, a lot of catchers put that hand behind their back, especially if there's no one on base. There's no excuse to keep that hand right there. And Tony Pena is going to come out and take a look as well.
Warm up Ivan Nova to keep him loose. Looks like he already has a finger taped. That's his catching hand.
No, that's on his glove hand.
All right. Tony Pena might come out and just put the equipment on.
Hey, get Stu.
You know what? He still looks like he can do it. As they warm up Ivan Nova, let's take a look at the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. 64 degrees, 28% humidity, 8 miles per hour is the wind. It is a great night for baseball. It looks like they're going to take him out of the game. Wow. And Chris Stewart will jog in from the bullpen in right center field. Remember, He had gotten hit twice, and that's why the finger was taped on the glove hand on catcher's interference in recent games. But this was on the bare hand. So just like that, Francisco Cervelli out of the game. So Aaron Sebia certainly knows the feeling.
Now, this is a big adjustment for the pitcher. I mean, you've got your whole game plan together with Cervelli, and all of a sudden, first batter of the game, you got to readjust everything. Now, I mean, Stewart's a great defensive catcher also, but you had in your mind how you were going to work with the other guys on how to get these guys out.
Now let's check out the Yankee defense now with the change of Stewart behind the plate. In the outfield, it's Wells, Gardner, and Ichiro left to right. Infield, Nix, Nunez, Cano, and Overbay. Stewart is behind the plate, replacing Cervelli. Will get you information as soon as we get it. And Ivan Nova is on the mound. In a season of injuries, one more.
Look at that. RES defense beat the extra score code.
That's right.
Already had Stewart in there.
Davis fouls that one back. So Nova's throwing strikes right here, but Davis not making it easy.
Davis got off to a bad start last year. Then he got hot. And when he gets hot, he can do a lot of things because he's fast. He can steal bases, score runs.
Fly ball down the right field line. Ichiro runs out of room.
It's that one that's just out of your reach as a right fielder that sometimes you'll go into that wall. You kind of lose sight of where it is. One last look, and then you know it's going to be close.
Seems like you got a flashback there.
Yeah, not one of the better ones either.
And the 1-2. Now we have no idea how seriously injured Cervelli is, but what a tough break for the kid who's really done a good job both offensively and defensively, and has gotten the bulk of the time of late. And then he has to leave the game with the right hand.
I get it.
Davis swings and misses. Tagged by Stewart. Well, speaking of injuries, the injury report brought to you by Montefiore Medical Center Inspired Medicine. Kevin Youkilis is now missing his 6th straight game, and with a back injury. And that same back injury has kept him out of 36 games over the last 2 years, and he missed 13 more in 2011 because of a hip. Now, if he's still not able to go tomorrow, they might think about DLing him rather than playing with the 24-man roster. Here's Colby Rasmus. And a strike.
Ten pitches, 9 strikes, Michael.
That'll do it. The 0-1. 0-2.
Start him off with a curveball, kind of a get me over, strike one. Then he goes to a good off-speed sinker, and then when he set him up, he can come inside, go away, and get him to swing the slider in the dirt. Laid off of him.
Rasmus got off the team bus today. The early bus, about 5-2 here at the stadium. Had the ski cap pulled down. big headsets over the ski cap. Today's generation, Paul.
Yeah, it is a little different. There's no doubt about it.
When you played, you used to just have Perry Como with you singing.
yeah, got you.
Swing and a miss. As Rasmus down on strikes. 2 strikeouts for Nova.
Yeah, this is overpowering. No sink to this. Just threw the ball by him.
Now, Stewart is familiar with Nova because he did catch his first 3 starts this year. But because Cervelli has hit so well, he's catching a lot these days. But Stewart in there, and he receives a strike to Bautista.
I'll tell you one thing, Nova is just pounding the strike zone. I don't know. I think it goes to the hitters when you face a guy back-to-back series, because, chances are you've seen everything he has to do. He might change sequences and things like that, but I think it's always to the advantage of the hitter when you see a pitcher twice in a week.
Those two catchers, they've been through those wars. And the 0-2. 1-2.
Talked about Bautista and, you know, his home run production over the past couple years, and he really hasn't got going yet, but you know he will. Good all-around player, good outfielder, good arm, does everything, helps his team in a lot of different ways.
The 2-2. Fouled the other way.
One thing you'll notice there, I mean, that's a two-strike swing, and he doesn't give in. I mean, he's still putting a full swing on it, not trying to just serve one to right.
The 2-2. Driven into left center. Gardner is there. He'll make the play, and that'll do it. As Nova retires the Blue Jays in order, 1-2-3. Blue Jays nothing, and the New York Yankees coming to bat. His turn against this Yankee lineup put together by Joe Girardi. And it's brought to you by our good friends at Lexus. Brett Gardner in center field will lead off, batting second and playing third base, Jason Nix. Robinson Cano at second base will bat third. Vernon Wells in left field is going to bat fourth, and we can cross that out, Paul. Francisco Cervelli is not batting fifth. It's going to be Chris Stewart. Ichiro Suzuki in right field will bat sixth, batting seventh. Playing shortstop, Eduardo Nunez. Lyle Overbay at first base bats eighth, and batting ninth and DHing, Ben Francisco. And here's Aaron Laffey. Nothing to laugh about the way he pitched with the Mets earlier. They had to release him. 8 earned runs in 10 innings pitched. So the numbers are not pretty. But he is an emergency starter today, replacing Josh Johnson. 4 games, 2 starts with the Mets. 7.20 ERA, 10 innings, 16 hits, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts. And opponents think 390 against him. Let's take a look at the scouting report brought to you by the Tri-Honda dealers.
Aaron Laffey's probably saying, why the Yankees? Why do I get a spot start against the Yankees? I'm 0-3 with a 9.95 ERA lifetime. First time through. In 2012 with Toronto, he held opponents to a 169 batting average. Obviously, it gets a little worse after that. And Laffey and David Cone will join as the only pitchers to start games for both the Mets and the Blue Jays in the same season. Anytime I can get one of my buddies in scouting report, I do that, Mike. Do you see that?
That is nice of you. And that's a deal I think the Mets would want to forget. There's a strike. That was the start of David Cone becoming a hired gun.
Yeah. You know, you have to have a certain confidence and mentality to be able to do that. It's just go out and you bring him in, you know what you're getting. Cody would just go into, right into the fire in the middle of the pennant race and just wouldn't skip. There was no adjustment period, which usually there is.
When the Yankees got him in the middle of the pennant race in 1995, you guys were in Minneapolis, and I'll never forget this. He was meeting with the media about an hour before he was going to take them out, and I thought Buck Showalter's head was going to explode. But that's how David is. David always spoke the day he was pitching. Other pitchers just want to be left alone. He wanted you to talk to him. He'd call you over to his locker just to start a conversation. High fly ball, left field. Melky Cabrera back. has room, and he'll make the play for the first out. Let's check out the Blue Jay defense behind Aaron Laffey. We've already met Cabrera, so we'll start there. Rasmussen center and Bautista over and right. Infield, Laurie, Kawasaki, Estouras, and Encarnacion. That's third to first. Aaron Sevilla behind the plate, and Laffey is on the mound.
Go back to your media days, Michael. Now, how would you take this one? Tim Belcher, good friend of mine, played against him, played with him in Cincinnati. Had a bad day on the mound, got beat up. After the game, all the media goes to his locker. Belch had already left. He had a typewritten letter posted in his locker. Didn't have good stuff, didn't have anything, gave up, had a bad game. See you next time.
You know, it
didn't go over too well.
You know, but if you do it once, I guess you could understand it. But if you did it all the time and blew off the media, then that would get you angry.
Yeah.
But at least he tried. He didn't leave without a quote. He left your quote. Jason Nix with a fly ball to right center. Bautista drifts over, and he puts it away for the second out.
Well, Jason Nix, I mean, every time he gets in the lineup, he doesn't know how long he's going to be there. And with Euclid, you know, maybe out for 15 days if we go another day, you were talking. So, you know, every time he gets an opportunity to get out there, he can continue to impress. Like he did last night, had a great game defensively, threw in a couple hits.
Well, here's Robinson Cano. Pitch is high.
You can just tell that Robbie was up there just lackadaisical. Was going to take a pitch just to see what Laffey's going to feature. And what that told him is, he tried to throw that ball inside to get him off the plate. He's probably going to try to get him out of the way. Big difference as a hitter, Michael, when you know a guy wants to throw strikes inside or whether he just wants to waste a pitch inside to show you that. When they show you that pitch way in off the plate, 9 times out of 10, they're going to try to get you out of the way.
Grounded to second. Right there is Estouras, and Laffey works a 1-2-3 inning. Yankees go down in order. All right, we're going to go to the second inning. There's no score, and Edwin Encarnacion will lead off. Station brought to you by Toyota. Prius is the official hybrid of the Yankees. Go to Yankees.com/Prius to enter for your chance to win the Yankees Prius plug-in. Here's how we start the conversation. Which starting pitcher acquired by Toronto in the offseason will have the best numbers in 2013 and why? Alley Girl, 1979-3. R.A. Dickey. He's had a rough beginning, but he will pick it up in the next few months. Follow Yes Network and tweet us your responses using hashtag Yankees Prius to keep the conversation going. Wow.
All painted up, ready to go.
Yeah.
A couple more injuries, they might be suited up.
You ever wear that?
Yeah, about one time. It didn't work for me because I always rubbed it around before the end of the game. It was smeared all over my face.
So you're like Alice Cooper then?
Yeah, exactly. Didn't help. I always thought Mattingly looked the coolest with it. It just like was part of his uniform. But they finally got the little stickers. You could just wear the stickers under your eyes. But it's supposed to absorb the glare. It's supposed to help.
Well, you don't have really high cheekbones. That I think are the people that are affected the most.
That bothers me that you're looking at my cheekbones. You know that? You just keep your eye on the field right now.
That one is driven deep to left field. No chance for anybody. See ya. A long home run for Encarnacion. And the Blue Jays lead 1-0.
We talked that Edwin Encarnacion is just getting into his stride. He came off an injury. It's his 4th straight game now with a home run. 5-game hitting streak. But I tell you what, he put up some kind of numbers last year. And right now he's swinging the bat well again. We can't figure this out. We can figure that out. That goes way out of the ballpark. But look at this little home run trot we got working. One arm up. We talked about the flap down. Well, this is the flap up.
Here's Melky Cabrera. And there's a strike. That is going to anger some pitchers. This little move right here.
Michael, that's the way we run now, but we got shoulder problems. I think he's healthy.
So it's his 6th home run and his 15th run batted in. And a home run in the 1st inning yesterday. There's a base hit to left field.
These are the innings that Nova really has to bear down. I mean, you give up a home run, so what? It's 1-0. But you can't let that snowball into a big inning. You know, start missing with pitches, start giving up hits. And you know, it's kind of a tendency of a guy who, you know, is either on a roll or he can't forget things. And, you know, he needs to get back to just realizing he's got good stuff. Rothschild stated that the stuff he had in Toronto, probably the best he's had all year. Didn't really correlate into the numbers, but if he had the same kind of stuff, he was going to have a good outing tonight.
There's a strike to J.P. Arancibia. No bite on the breaking ball upstairs, 1-1. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
Good curveball there, and I've always thought that Nova's curveball was a better pitch for him than his slider. His slider, he can hang out over the plate once in a while, where his curveball, if he misses, it's usually out of the zone, and he's got a good enough curveball to buckle up right-handed hitters.
High pop-up. Over Bay. Runs out of room. The wind took that. I thought he had a chance, but looking up at the flags, not much wind at all.
It's weird. Look at right field. The wind's blowing. In left field, they're dead.
Right.
What's up with that?
And in right field, they are blowing toward the seat, so maybe that got a hold of that high pop-up. Keeping Cabrera close.
Derek Jeter here for two nights. I think he's going to be here the whole homestand. Huh?
Fly ball. Center field. Gardner makes the catch. Tagging is Melky. And the throw is wild, but Melky was heading back to first. He just wanted to draw the throw.
Sevilla got a good pitch to hit, just got under it a little bit. It's hard to imagine, how much the ball could carry even more. These last few nights has been just beautiful, cool. But the ball is flying at him. As soon as it gets hot, heads up. Good curveball.
Rory takes it for a ball.
Another guy that the Toronto Blue Jays want to really see get started, hitting 167 coming into this game. Hit his first home run last night. Sometimes that can be a huge relief to get that first home run out of the way if it doesn't happen early in the season.
The 1-1.
Ouch, there's that sinker. Now that ball just keeps boring in on righties. Not much you can do. Really good time for that big curveball here, Michael. Huh? Get the feeling?
I think he's going to go slider.
I just told you not to throw the slider.
I'm telling you what I think he's going to go with.
We're going to go with a high fastball. All right. That was kind of a deep to the hitter, so just in case he was peeking back there.
I'm going to bounce something up there.
I think we went to the curveball.
I think it's a curve.
He was on it, though. Good breaking ball.
All right, now what do you do if he was on it?
Well, I mean, he already showed him inside, and Lurie showed him that he really couldn't get to it. So I probably would bust him in with that two-seamer again. Now he's going to your slider, Michael. If he gives up a hit here and leave.
All right. I don't know which way to root.
Oh, he hung it.
He did hang it. One nothing Toronto on Encarnacion's leadoff home run here in the second.
You know, it's really amazing. I mean, as many strikes as he's thrown, you look up. I mean, this is his 28th pitch, and he's given up a solo home run. He's only got one out.
This is 38th pitch. Runner goes, pitch is low, throw to second. Oh, what a beautiful throw! Got him. Stewart with a perfect throw to Cano. Nails Melky Cabrera for the second out.
Yeah, this isn't even close. Cabrera had a decent jump too. Just right there. Kind of fun for Robbie Cano to tag out one of your best friends in baseball. Good pitch to throw on. Ball away from the hitter.
A 2-2 pitch, way outside, count 3-2. And the pitch to Laurie. Base hit through the left side. I will see the out at second, and we'll take a look at it on YesMo, which is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer.
Well, this is one replay that you really don't need the slow motion to see if he's out. Plenty of time. Robbie Cano receives the ball in front of the bag. Is there anything on the field that Robbie doesn't look comfortable doing? I mean, defensively, offensively, everything looks really smooth and really easy.
Here's Meister as Stewart. That ball gets past Stewart, and that allows Laurie to go to second base. Let's see how they score that. That wasn't really wild. Maybe it was crossed up. A lot of movement. But
I don't see how you get crossed up with a guy on first because you're only given one signal. Pass ball.
Pass ball. Kind of reach for it rather than just moving over there. Now runner in scoring position, and as Torres fouls it off, 1-1.
A a lot of times stats don't mean anything, but the Blue Jays not off to the kind of start that they want to be, and one of the big reasons is at-bats like this. Runners in scoring position. As a team, they hit 197, which is second worst in the American League. Got to be able to drive in runs.
2-2.
Tourist looking for his first hit with runner in scoring position. He's 0 for 12 so far this year. Got a lot of stats for you.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I've never seen you have this many stats.
Get notes passed to me.
The 2-2. Ground ball to Cano. And that'll do it here at the top of the second. But the Blue Jays get a run, and they get it with this swing off the bat of Edwin Encarnacion. It hits the facing of the second deck in left field. And when it lands, it's 1-0 Blue Jays. .421 average, 3 home runs and 5 runs against his former team, the Blue Jays, this season. There's our colleague Chris Sheeran, who got lost on his way to a hockey game, watching the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Nice USA hockey top there.
Pulled some good seats, though, I'll tell you.
He
Not
really
the upper deck,
did.
huh?
Yeah. Sheeran does not belong in those seats.
He had the magic band around his wrist, if you noticed that. That's the one that gets you into that feast behind home plate.
Here's Vernon Wells.
I snuck down there last night and grabbed a couple M&Ms on the way out, just to make sure that they still had them. You been down there, Michael?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
It was great. The 0-1. I knew that you had to make a detour because you left the booth 5 minutes before I did, and I saw you walking 10 feet in front of me, and I know you're a fast walker.
Figured I got lost, or
I didn't know. Somebody was talking to you, but I should have known it involved food. That one's fouled away. Wells has gotten off to a nice start here with the Yankees. 6 home runs, 10 ribbies. You know, you talk to people, his bat seems quicker than it has in a couple of years. He's using the right side of the field just a little bit more than he has.
Enthusiasm's a great thing. I mean, he was kind of stuck where he was. He comes into a place where he's able to play every day.
Kawasaki really had a play to pull there. He had a long way to go.
Team that really needs him too. Sometimes as a player, when you feel like you're really needed, you know, it makes everything blossom again. And you're right, Michael. This ball not hit hard, just hitting the right spot. Kawasaki playing him way over in the hole.
Didn't come up for Kawasaki. So Vernon Wells gets a hit.
Kawasaki was a Gold Glove extraordinaire over in Japan, so he can do some things with that glove out there.
Here's Chris Stewart. Chris Stewart batting 5th in the Yankee lineup, and that's not the way Joe Girardi planned it when he put the lineup together, but Francisco Cervelli knocked out of the game in the top of the first inning. A foul ball off the bat of Davis hit him on the bare hand. We're awaiting information on the extent of the injury. 2-0.
Michael, you ever look down at your phone and you get a missed call from somewhere you don't even know anybody? I just looked up an area code from Charlotte. I know nobody in Charlotte, North Carolina. How do you even call from me?
Well, you know somebody in Charlotte. Don't you know Michael Jordan?
He doesn't live in Charlotte. He's in Florida.
Yeah, but he runs the Charlotte Bobcats. He owns them. Maybe call from their front office.
Right. He might want to be one of those block numbers, though, I bet.
Let's see if they green light Stewart. Hope he runs into a fastball. And we'll never know. The pitch was upstairs. So Laffey, runners on first and second. Nobody out here in the second.
Well, big opportunity for the Yankees. Ichiro's been swinging the bat much better as of late. You know, and everybody's going to throw lefties when they have a spot start of this. You know, you throw a lefty against the Yankees. They don't hit lefties well, but you know, we talked about it. A premier lefty will give lefties problems. Laffey, Burley last night. You know, Burley's a good pitcher, but he's not a guy that will bother lefties any more than he'll bother righties. He's got good stuff to get both of them out when he's on. But Laffey, kind of in that same boat, as a left-handed hitter, really doesn't have anything that's going to fool you more than a right-hander.
Ichiro tries to bunt and bunts through it. 0-1. Ichiro has a modest 3-game hitting streak, and he's done a nice job against Laffey. The glove of Laurie, and it trickles behind him, and the Yankees have loaded the bases. That'll be a base hit.
It does, and you know, that probably set up by that bunt. First pitch, you know, Laurie's going to move in a little bit, then you slap one the other way. You see he's kind of in here. Just doesn't have as much time to react. Actually, good play just to get his glove on it. Now Nunez, who has been struggling at the plate, has a big opportunity. Drive in some runs.
John Gibbons tossed from yesterday's game, directing the defense.
Yeah, I heard on the field they back-to-back. Last 2 games has been thrown out.
Nunez fouls it off.
This is what happens when you struggle. It's just like you're 0-2 before you even get in the box. All of a sudden, you know, you're in a great opportunity here. It's bases loaded, nobody out. You strike one, and you just the wheels is in your head just start turning too quick. You just try to force things. Sometimes these at bats can help you because you get away from it. You just try to get a run in.
You know, strangely, when Jeter got hurt, there was some trepidation on whether or not Nunez would be able to do it defensively. But no one doubted him offensively. Live bat, speed, but he's done a great job filling in for Jeter in the field, but hasn't quite done it yet offensively. Grounded up the middle. There's one, and not in time. So Vernon Wells scores to tie the game. And Nunez picks up an RBI on the fielder's choice.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was an unbelievable play by Asturias. Almost turned 2. Kawasaki was late getting over the bag. Didn't quite get it up in the air, but that exchange allowed Nunez to beat that out. Ball's hit hard. When you're hot, that ball's up the middle.
Yep. Jeff Kellogg called it right. So Nunez picks up his 4th run batted in. Here's Overbay, and he has to start against the lefty because of Youkilis's injury. He's 1 for 21 against lefties this year. Not a guy that's totally neutralized by lefties, though. He was an everyday player for a long time. but he is struggling so far. You see overall, 2 homers and 8 ribbies.
Again, as a left-handed hitter off Laffey, I think you got to look to go the other way, especially with a man on third. Force that ball out to left field. At least get him in with a sacrifice fly. Hopefully drive him in with a hit. You start trying to pull the ball, trying to roll it over a little bit. Next thing you know, you're going to the dugout in a double play.
Serve the other way.
I'll tell you what, that's just an in-between swing. That's just picking the ball up late from a lefty with not a lot. It's just full. And you kind of swing, and you're just lucky that you just didn't put it in play. Just not quite committed to that. That's just picking the ball up late, not picking up the spin.
Laffey deals. Broken back ground ball to Laurie. There's one. On to first. It's a double play. And that will do it here in the second. So the Yankees threat only could come up with 1 run. 2 hits. 1 man left. Playoff series turn to yes for the Verizon Fios Nets pregame. We'll have a complete preview of Game 4 from Chicago, followed by all the action over on My 9. Coverage starts tomorrow at 1:30, right here on Yes. All right, we go to the 3rd inning. It's a 1-1 game on the Lincoln scoreboard. Blue Jays with 3 hits, Yankees with 2, and Kawasaki leads it off. Count 1-0. Count 1-1. They love him in Toronto. He's already a fan favorite. He said the best thing in the world is going to a game, having some beers, and just standing up at your seat screaming at the players. He said that's what he would do.
Ouch.
I don't think he thinks that's the best thing.
No. It doesn't rank in the top 10. Really, the first breaking ball that got away from Nova. Hit him in the shin there. really hard. As a left-handed hitter, you're carrying all your weight back at that point. It's impossible to get out of the way because all your weight's on your back foot. You just have no balance to go anywhere.
Here's Davis. Shows bunt. Now, we don't have any status yet on Cervelli after leaving with the injury, but we do know that at the Yankees AAA game of Scranton-Wilkes-Barre, Austin Romine has been taken out of the game. So if, in fact, Cervelli is injured and has to go on the DL, Romine has been taken out of the game tonight, so he would be available to come up. They didn't want to risk Austin Romine getting hurt, playing any further at AAA.
It's impressive. Who gave you that little tidbit?
Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
Runner goes. Foul bat.
See, that was a hit and run. Stewart already has their attention. He threw Milky Cabrera out earlier, but you know, I think Gibbons wants to run, tries to manufacture a run, but you see that ball's up and in. Tough pitch to handle for Davis.
Runner goes again. Again, it fouled back. Count 1-2.
It'd be hard pressed to say that he'd give hit and run back to back, but Kawasaki was leaning. He was going. Davis kind of got the same pitch up and in. See him kind of get out on that front foot, and he did look back, so that probably was a hit and run.
Grounded up the middle and right off the bag into center field, a base hit. Kawasaki will move to third. First and third, nobody out.
Ball's in front of him. Good read. As soon as it's off the bag, you don't have to look at the center fielder. It's going to give you plenty of time to jog into third base. This ball's hit hard. Just hits the corner of the bag. Pops up. You see Brett Gardner knows at that point, no chance.
So now they check with Ivan Nova.
He's struggling too.
And he leaves the game. Now what happened there? Well, we'll try to find out. Yankees have to go to the bullpen. So their battery has been removed. Strange night, strange season. And this was not about ineffectiveness. This is about some sort of injury, but for the life of us, we just don't know what went on here. He didn't get hit with the comebacker. Seems disgusted, jogging to back up third.
Calling a back thing or something. A lot of times when you see a pitcher start missing up in the zone, it was immediate, though. You see Stewart going out there immediately.
So David Phelps will have as much time as he needs to warm up. Phelps has 6 game, 15 hits in 13 innings, 6 walks and 13 strikeouts. And this team has really done a good job, I'm talking about the Yankees, in their ability to absorb these injuries. Some of them would be knee bucklers for a lot of teams. I mean, you lose your captain, you lose your center fielder who hit 43 home runs, you lose your switch-hitting, Gold Glove-winning first baseman, you lose your third baseman during the offseason with over 600 home runs. We go on and on. Kevin Youkilis, who's filling in for that third baseman, has now missed 6 games with a bad back. In the first inning, you lose Francisco Cervelli. And now Ivan Nova. This is Donnie on the mound with him. And he's not going to argue. He wants to come out, I guess, because he's not feeling great.
He's calling us to let us know what's happening. Boy, I tell you what, Michael, it's almost like when you're playing on a team and you're having a year like this, you go out, you battle every day, you try to win, but it's almost like in the back of your mind, you're expecting something else to go wrong. And, when everything's going right during the season, you expect things to go right. But when you start having injuries and guys just start going down day after day, you almost expect it.
And it's a testament to the team and the organization and ownership that they continue to try to plug these holes, and they are big holes to plug. They're 12-9 coming into action tonight. They're right there battling for the top of the American League East, and their best players other than Robinson Cano are on the shelf. So as soon as we get information on Cervelli, as soon as we get information on Nova, we'll get it to you. And to give you further information on the Austin Romine situation, he was not just taken out of the game at AAA. He was taken out of the game in the middle of the inning. As soon as they found out that Cervelli had to leave the game because of the injury, it took him out in the middle of an inning. So here's Colby Rasmus. He will face David Phelps. And there's a strike.
Phelps, he's come in before and he's been able to shut teams down. He does a great job at this long relief rule.
And he pitched very well in the battle for a rotation spot in spring training, so he's stretched out. Line drive, a base hit to right field. Kawasaki scores. Davis stops at second, an RBI single for Rasmus, and the Blue Jays lead 2-1.
See Rasmus kind of sitting all over this breaking ball, kind of hangs out there, and he just hooks it over Cano's head. I used to love this play. I used to run it with Jeter a lot. As a right fielder, you just throw, and the shortstop kind of sneaks in behind you and runs at it. And if you get a guy caught out there taking a big turn, you see Nunez caught that ball wrong. Ichiro had a little bit on that ball.
So here's Bautista, but first a throw to second, and just getting back is Davis. Timing play there.
Nunez here, he catches it wrong. Just look at his face. You don't catch it right.
Count 1-1.
And it's got to be hard to, without being able to get up at the bullpen. I know that you have many pitches you need to get ready, but, you try to hurry, get ready. And you're right in a situation with, runners in scoring position, meat of the order up.
And it must be hard, Paul. You're warming up in front of everybody on the big league mound. It's not like you're in the bullpen. I guess you could warm up in the bullpen if you want it.
Yeah. Might as well get out here, but it's not like you're coming out cold. You don't expect to, because there was no warning. never knew that, though, Michael. You were a starter, right? You weren't a bullpen guy.
That was nothing.
Yeah. But you grew up to be this big mobile star now, you know?
I start up here. 2-1. 2-2. Top of the third. 2-1 Blue Jays. This is the danger part of the Blue Jays order with Bautista and Encarnacion. They can both go yard. Count 3-2.
Bautista's stare out there, I mean, it almost reminds me of Andy Pettit between his glove and his hat. I mean, there's not much room to see in there. We talked about Davis. He's got speed, and if you forget about him, Asmus can run too.
Swing and a miss. Big strikeout for Phelps as Bautista goes down.
It is a big strikeout, and he got him with a fastball. Good location, right on the outside corner. Bautista leg kick, kind of just looks like he's trying to pull the ball a little bit. One guy that you know is going to get it going. He's coming off of 4 or 5 games where he was injured. Just looks like his timing's off a little bit. Well, this guy right here, Encarnacion, is really swinging the bat well. At the end of the last series against Baltimore and in this series.
Let's take a look at the Jeep hitter scouting report for Encarnacion, Paul.
Well, I mean, 25 plus 25, it just shows you what type of year that he had. I mean, from 2011, he went from 17 home runs to 42 and 55 RBIs to well over 100. I mean, unbelievable. He was a player, the Blue Jays Player of the Year last year, in 15.8 feet. Does that mean anything to you, Mike?
No.
His home runs last year traveled an average of almost 16 feet farther than his whole career. So he's gained power by his mechanics. He's driving the ball a lot more, obviously.
Runner goes from second, ball foul back. Davis had that one stolen.
Well, you see right there, that's like a player's delight there. When you can get a walking lead and the pitcher never makes you stop, much easier to steal a base. Much harder to get everything going from a complete stop than when you're walking. When you're walking, it's like you automatically have a good jump. Guarantee in this at bat, that'll be the last time that happens. You see Robbie Cano right behind the base. All of a sudden, you're looking at trying to stay away from a big inning, but then when you strike out Bautista, you're thinking, you know, if I can get a ground ball here, I can get out of this inning.
Cano's almost right behind the bag. And that's the way they would play Encarnacion anyway. A dead pull hitter on ground balls. Pretty much in the air as well.
This is when you're a runner. I mean, you're watching the pitcher and you're trusting your third base coach. If anybody sneaks in behind you, and it's kind of an eerie feeling when you're out there and you know that you're waiting to hear his voice, whether to get back or not.
Runners go. 3-2 swung and a miss. Go to third. It's a double play. Strike him out, throw him out. So Stewart has gunned down 2 base runners already tonight.
See, that's from a dead stop. Much tougher Good job by Stewart. Take us out of here, Michael.
All right, we go to the bottom of the third. It's 2-1 Blue Jays. USA.com, by Delta, keep climbing, and by the Experience Buick lease. It's a new lease on luxury. All right, the Yankees trail 2-1 as we go to the bottom of the third in a game with a lot of twist and turn. Yankees lost their starting battery. They lost Cervelli in the first and then Nova in the third. Lincoln scoreboard shows a 2-1 score. Then Francisco leads off. And there's a strike. If anybody needs a hit, it's Ben Francisco. He got one an infield variety yesterday, but he's 3 for 29.
You know, at the cage today, I asked Joe Girardi, I said, have you ever seen that where a guy is thrown out, goes to the dugout, goes back to first base with a base hit? He said, nope.
No, we had never seen it.
Yeah.
The 1-2. Now Joe's making a choice by continuing to run Francisco out there against lefty starters because you can go with Hafner, but I think he's afraid to play Hafner every single day. He wants to keep him healthy. But in terms of production, Hafner has hit lefties before, but he's sticking with Francisco. 2-2. And Francisco's hit in the past, so there was nothing that would lead you to believe that he's not going to hit now. He's just in a bad slump. Two. So he's worked the count full.
Very important when you're going through times like this that, you know, you take a walk, you make the pitch. First thing to hitting, I don't care if I'm Little League to here, is you got to swing at strikes. Now you're getting a 3-2 count, and you just assume he's going to throw a strike. You still have to be selective and make sure you swing at strikes.
And he worked the walk. So a leadoff walk for Ben Francisco. It was the overturned play that Paul's talking about. First of all, it was a really good play by Laurie. Fires to first. The initial call is out. But then the umpires got together and said that Encarnacion did not have control of the baseball. And that really fired up John Gibbons, who was then thrown out of the game. So a nice gift hit there for Francisco. And here is Brett Gardner. Shows bunt, takes high.
Corey's got to be wondering, are these guys doing this on purpose? He's fake bunt and then slap one my way down at third. You obviously have to honor the speed of Gardner and come in.
Bunted back to Laffey. They're going to score that a sacrifice as Francisco moves to second.
Well, again, Brett Gardner, if he can pull that ball and make Encarnacion come in to field it, he's got a chance to beat Laffey to the bag. Even in a sacrifice situation with his speed, if he had, it's kind of hard to talk about that play, Michael, but right here, if he makes Encarnacion get in here, then he's got a chance.
So a sacrifice for Gardner, and that's going to bring up Jason Nix. Gardner has 3 sack bunts so far this year. Francisco on second. Now 1-0.
Laffey's not blowing anybody away. You see, that's a little sinking fastball at 86. Kind of uses everything. Change up, slider, fastball. One of those guys that goes out on the mound and know that he has to be perfect. He has to hit spots. If he hits the middle of the plate, he's going to get hit hard. So far, so good.
These are the type of pitchers, though, that you see them second time, and Paul gave the stats first time through the order. He gets people out, changing speeds, a little of this, a little of that. But second time around, you usually do get to them, and this is the second time around for the Yanks. Three and 0. Career ERA in starts, he's 2.01 during the first inning, 5.02 from the second inning on. The 3-0 to Nix. He walked him. And here's a stat that's also somewhat telling. Opponent hits 268 against him first pass through the order. Goes up to 292 the second pass. And 324 in the third pass. So Pete Walker, the pitching coach, quickly out to the mound to talk with Laffey.
Well, those stats, he should be facing guys twice, and that's about it.
That's about it.
He has pitched out of the pen a lot, too, in his career. So.
Well, Josh Johnson was supposed to get the start. Highly touted, part of the big trade with the Miami Marlins, but had to leave his scheduled start with a issue with his triceps, and he says there's pain just right under the armpit of his right arm, so he was scratched from today's start. Here's Cano, the guy you want up in these situations. You see what he's done in the last 16 games.
See Joe Girardi talking to Gardner, probably asking him, you know, were you bunting for a hit? Usually early in the game, you're not going to get a sacrifice situation where you're down a run and you've got, chances are that you're going to score more than one run before this game's over.
Three-run home run in the third inning yesterday for Cano. 2-0. You can see Laffey wants you to swing at pitches off the strike zone, and the Yankees right now are taking those pitches.
Last time up, he showed him in and then tried to get him out away. He's been away from Robbie all night. He just does not feel like he can get in. Robbie's too quick inside when he's swinging the bat well. Suddenly you see Robbie's a little more attentive up there, 2-0. Takes a pitch. looking at Robbie's, shaking your head, looking at Robbie's hitting chart over there. How do you get this guy out? He can handle the ball away. He can handle the ball in. A lot of these pitching changes where you start lefties or just shut down the premier guys, and you're looking at him right here. Robbie Cano, if you think you could try to get him out with lefties. See you looking out there like, what was that? The fastball. See, curveballs get away like that.
And he walked him. So that's going to load the bases. One man out. And Brad Lincoln getting ready in a hurry. 3 walks issued by Laffey. The only out he's gotten, a sacrifice bunt.
It's a situation where you really can't pitch around Robbie, but you can tell he just had no way of really going after him. He gave him one fastball and Robbie was taken. Other than that, nothing even close.
Here's Vernon Wells. Singled up the middle in the second and came around to score. Big RBI opportunity for him.
And these are just big opportunities to continue to hit behind Cano, because if you continue to hit, then they have to pitch to Robbie. It makes it so important on who's hitting behind you.
6 grand slams in his career. 277 hitter with the bases loaded. So he's kind of consistent with the type of hitter he is overall. I believe in his years with the Blue Jays, his career batting average is 280. So a smidge under that with the bases loaded. Having trouble throwing strikes. Has completely lost the plate this inning.
You saw Gibbons talking there that, you're going to the bullpen if he walks this guy or if he gets on. 20 pitches this inning, so he's tired, and you're right, Michael. He's gone from throwing all strikes to no strikes.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. Here's the 2-0. There's a strike. Now 3-1.
Just not comfortable throwing strikes. 2-0, you have to throw one. Then you have a little leeway, but then you go right to 3-1. No option here other than throw a strike and hope he hits it at somebody.
Grounded foul.
That pitch right there, Michael, you had talked to. Vernon Wells is working on hitting the ball the other way a little bit. But you're in this situation. You see this ball is up and away. Ends up kind of rolling over it. And with that swing, you're looking for something inside that you can absolutely hammer and hook.
The payoff. Fouled away. Hard for him to get that fastball by at 86 miles an hour.
Yeah, both of those balls borderline out of the strike zone. Sometimes as a hitter, when you're facing a guy like this, especially with bases loaded, you see the ball so well that you kind of leave the zone knowing that you can hit something outside of it.
High drive left field. Tagging is Francisco. Melky makes the catch. The throw is cut off. It's a sac fly for Vernon Wells, and the game is tied at 2.
Well, he got enough of it, but you see that he's frustrated. There's a pitcher out there that he can really handle. A couple of pitches he thought he possibly could have driven in a gap. Do your job of hitting that sacrifice fly. You know, hitters are never satisfied. All kind of down. Decent pitch to hit. Definitely in pull mode that at bat, though, Michael. He's front side kind of opening up.
Here's Chris Stewart. And the pitch is high from Laffey.
No words yet, huh? On the injury report. No injury.
Not yet.
Where's Meredith? Get down there and figure something out, would you? Need some hot news up here.
He's down 2-0 to everybody. Yankees very patient this inning, but still haven't done much damage.
Yeah, this is, I mean, it's the third inning, but you got to figure this is his last hitter if he gets out of this inning or if he doesn't get out of it.
Those are his numbers here at the stadium. Be interesting to see if he loses Stewart. Do they keep in Laffey, the left-hander, to face Ichiro, or do they bring in Lincoln, the right-hander?
Well, again, I don't think Laffey's a guy that you think is going to dominate just because he's left-handed.
Well, we'll see.
That's it.
Well, John Gibbons will make his John Wayne walk out to the mound. And Brad Lincoln will try to clean this up. A 29-pitch inning for Laffey. It'll be Lincoln against Ichiro with the bases loaded. The game tied at 2. Here's Brad Lincoln. I want to remind you, this season, Yankees are pleased to introduce the New York Yankees Ticket Exchange by Ticketmaster, the new official resale marketplace of the Yankees and Yankees.com. Yankees Ticket Exchange is a safe, secure, convenient, and affordable place for fans to buy and resell tickets. Visit Yankees.com/ticket exchange today to buy and resell your tickets. Big spot for the Yankees right here. They're tied at 2, but they have the bases loaded in the bottom of the third inning with 2 outs. And the Jays have gone to the bullpen. There's Brad Lincoln. We saw him yesterday. So this is his second game. He's up because of the absence of Adam Lind, who's on maternity or paternity leave, whatever you want to call it. Pitch outside to Ichiro. Ichiro singled off the glove of Laurie at third. That was in the second. Yankees have just 2 hits. They have 4 walks this inning. Hammered foul. Look at the numbers with the bases loaded for Ichiro. 405 with 4 grand slams.
Not a lot of stats in his career that aren't good. You know, as good a hitter as he was, or is.
That's going to make the seats. He'll get another hat. Nick's at third, Cano at second, and Stewart is at first. Two and two.
Boy, nobody wants to go 3-2 as a pitcher with bases loaded. So, I mean, this is where you really dig in as a hitter. You know you're probably going to get something really good to hit here.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Got him.
Something off of it.
So all things considered, the Blue Jays escape relatively unscathed. The Yankees do tie the score, but they leave the bases loaded as Ichiro strikes out. Smokers Quit Line quiz. Call 1-866-NY-QUITS for free help today. Which former Yankees World Series champion was traded by the Yankees to the Blue Jays but never played a game for Toronto? Well, Paul, we've got the news, and it's not very good. Francisco Cervelli has a fractured right hand, which will require surgery. He's going to be out a minimum of 6 weeks. And here's that injury. An innocent foul ball by Davis. Hit him flush, almost on the knuckles. then Ivan Nova left the game with pain in his elbow. And he's going to undergo an MRI tonight to find out exactly what's going on there.
No, you feel for Cervelli. I mean, here's a guy that had an opportunity, worked and stayed out of the WBC to work, and then, off to a great start. Really was getting a good chance, and, just by injuries, it's sad. You just hope that Nova has a little inflammation or something that they can work around. Bad break.
The 1-1. And what's strange? The first inning, that's about as strong as we've seen Nova this year. Throwing hard, throwing strikes.
All over the strike zone, yep.
Popped up. Stewart on the run. Makes the catch. Never even dropped his helmet. You check that, his mask. He did drop the helmet, but he held on to the mask.
So you don't get the vision of that, because as a fielder you're always catching the ball that has been hit to you, and it's an easy it's an easy judge is what I'm trying to get to. Where catchers they get up and they're running to the ball usually, and the ball is coming back to them at an opposite angle. That's why you usually try as an infielder to call off the catcher if you have an opportunity. A little harder play.
I've always wondered how catchers work on that. We know how they work on the big league level. They have machines, they have coaches that can hit fungos like that. But when you play in high school, they have that overhang behind the plate so they don't lose foul balls. So during the game, there's no way you could really get experience of catching a foul pop.
It's funny because you were talking about that story, and it just takes you back to places where back in the old days in the minor leagues you would take infield, right? And you would throw to the bases, and then the end of infield, the coach would try to hit high fly balls to the catcher, and that's not hard. It's hard to do.
Yep.
It could take 4 or 5 minutes. He'd be hitting them out into center field and missing them, and then finally he'd get that one that the catcher could finally work on.
Two count on Aaron Sebia. David Phelps came on in relief of Nova.
Talked about Aaron Sebia. He had a pitch right there, and you talk about his home run power this year. Off to a good start home run wise. See this ball got a little bit too much of the plate. Hitter's eyes light up. Enough on it to get it by him.
Now for David Phelps, obviously coming on in relief is important, and he wants to do his job, but if there is anything wrong with Nova, he's sliding in. He becomes a starter in the Yankee rotation. Swing and a miss.
Good slider there. And that ball right there, you can tell, doesn't have that big slider spin where you get a lot of break. It's just kind of a short slider. Looks like a fastball and just breaks off the plate. A lot of times the big slider, as a hitter, you can pick up that dot, the seam of the baseball, and you can read slider, where those little short ones look like a fastball and they just break off at the end.
Here's Brett Laurie. 1-0. Laurie singled through the left side in the second inning, so he's 1 for 1.
You see Phelps is he's so much around the plate that he's going to get some pitches. That last pitch probably off the plate away, but the umpire's used to seeing him around the plate.
Laurie started the season on the DL with a left oblique problem and only appeared in 2 games with the A-League Dunedin team in his rehab, so he's kind of rehabbing up here. And you can see him starting to get his swing back.
Well, that Dunedin, you talk about that again. It's just flashbacks. You're playing at Dunedin, and they have the shell, it's like crushed shell warning track and stuff around that ball. It was so bright there on sunny days.
Strike two. Laurie tossed the bat away and didn't make any friends with Chad Fairchild.
He's been all over this outside corner, just off of it, just on it. And again, that ball's probably just off the plate. When you're been around it, what do you bet, Michael? It's off the plate.
Off the plate. You see Laurie toss the bat away, then slowed down just a bit, but a walk nonetheless. So a runner on first base with 2 outs.
See Lyle Overbay over there. I mean, you get to hear all the conversations, all the pitches that the hitters think they missed, because that's the first thing you do. You have to tell somebody as a hitter because it frustrates us. So you run down to first base and you start bawling out the first base coach, and Overbay gets to hear all of it.
Which first base coach that you had was the best listener?
Let me think here. That's a good question. You know, man, Lee Mazzilli was good.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he was an ex-hitter and he knew all about it. He knew how frustrated you got.
The 0-1. 0-2.
You know what Mattis did, too, is that he would high-five you on home runs. Not too many first base, but coaches get over to first base and high-five you before you even hit first base. Mattis was always good at that.
Runner goes, and Isturis could not hold up. He strikes out, and that'll do it here in the 4th. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 man left on base. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Eduardo Nunez will lead it off for the Yanks. It's time for the answer to the New York State Smokers Quit Line quiz. Which former Yankees World Series champion was traded by the Yankees to the Blue Jays but never played a game for Toronto? I don't know about this one, so let's see what the answer is. Chris Chambliss.
You know what? I don't remember Chris Chambliss being with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Because he never played with them.
Did he even suit up with them?
I guess not. Here's Nunez against Lincoln. And there's a strike. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's a 2-2 game. They traded Chambliss, Damaso Garcia, and Paul Mirabella for Rick Cerrone, Tom Underwood, and Ted Wilborn. And Chambliss was traded a month later to the Atlanta Braves.
I remember him playing there. A month later, so he must have been hurt or something. He couldn't play for a month. Huh?
I guess.
We're going to get to the bottom of this, Michael.
It was in the offseason.
Ah, okay. Makes more sense. Okay.
And Nunez gets plunked.
All up and in. Just barely grazes that arm. Umpire hears it.
John Gibbons trying to turn this around before it gets out of hand. And R.A. Dickey was talking yesterday about how he thinks they're real close and they've had a lot of expectations on them. But it's going to happen. Well, they're 9-14. They're in last place in the East. And this is not the right place for them to land because they have the worst record in the stadium of any team in baseball. Snap throw to first, and Nunez gets back. They're 11-26 at this new Yankee Stadium. It happens to be the second worst record for any major league team in any current big league venue. Only Colorado at Minute Maid Park is worse. Colorado's 12-29 in Houston.
You can understand guys coming into Yankee Stadium. The Yankees are a pretty darn good team the past few years, but to go down to Houston and just get worn out like that, Colorado's a pretty good team. They're off to a good start.
And now they don't have to face Houston in their league. Can you believe this is the 5th year of this stadium?
Yeah, it is amazing.
The 1-0.
Still remember the old one, Michael. How about you? Huh? Pretty vivid memories, huh?
Absolutely.
Beautiful place, though.
Probably much more vivid for you. I'm going to ask you a corny question. Laying in bed at night, you can't sleep, looking up at the ceiling, Beverly snoring next to you.
You know, that's a bad picture right there. Go ahead with your story, though.
You ever think about you walking off the field in the 2001 World Series and they're chanting your name and smile? Do you ever think about that?
No, but I do think about other things. World Series plays, games, absolutely. I don't have to be going in and out of sleep either. That can happen right in the middle of the day, you know that?
Or right now.
Yeah.
Into center field, deep, going back is Rasmus, still back, it's going to be over his head and up against the wall. Nunez rounds third, he'll score easily. Overbay is going for 3. He's in there with a triple. Yankees lead 3-2.
Well, it's a welcome sight for Lyle Overbay, who's 0 for his last 14, but he gets a ball away and he drives it away. I'll tell you what, Rasmus plays very shallow in center field. So last night he thought he had a beat on Wells' ball, carried over the wall. This ball hit on the warning track. You know, Overbay's a guy that you have to respect his power. Ball was hit pretty well. Easily over his head. Overbay got a good read on it. Rasmus has no chance to throw him out. Where you try to start steering that ball as a hitter. You steer that thing away from the center fielder. You make up your mind, well, it's kind of fun. I'm just going to keep running.
Well, the Yankees will send up a pinch hitter for Ben Francisco. With Overbay on third, they bring the infield in, the Blue Jays do, and the Yankees send up Travis Hafner to pinch hit for the designated hitter Francisco.
These situations, I can remember the old stadium we were just talking about. I mean, you had to run all the way down the hall to use a cage. This new stadium, right down the steps, are 2 great cages. So as a pinch hitter or a DH, very easy to get loose, take swings, be ready for an at-bat. One big difference in this stadium.
That one gets away from Arancibia. Here comes Overbay. He scores. It's 4-2 Yanks.
They got a late read on this, but it went all the way to the screen, so it didn't really matter. It's like he just got caught in between, didn't get that glove in the right position. But you see Overbay, that's third base, sometimes you just don't see it. Ruled a wild pitch.
Two-0 is low. All right, now get inside the psyche of a major league player. Infield's in. Runner at third. Nobody out. Are you upset the ball got past the catcher?
Well, no, he's in, but you're 3-0. You're still getting at bat. You're in a game that you weren't in, so that's kind of enough to get the juices flowing. Sure, if you drill one to center field, you think, that would have been nice to drive in a run. But you're at a point now in a close game that you're happy to score runs. You're happy to get an at bat under your belt now with that walk, and you're kind of in the groove of the game.
So 4-2 Yankees, and back to the top of the order, and Brett Gardner pinch hit walk for Hafner. Count 0-1. Still nobody out here in the bottom of the fourth inning. Laffey started, an emergency starter for Josh Johnson, who had tricep issues. Now Brad Lincoln on relief. Count 0-2. Now Aaron Loop is up. Still 0-2.
Brett Gardner kind of going through one of those times where it's just not real comfortable at the plate, kind of leaving the zone a little bit, trying to slap the ball around. Tough pitch there. It's a good pitch to lay off of. That's, again, that short little slider or cutter right in on your hands. Not much you can do with it. Ball ends up way inside, but when you're looking out at the pitcher, that ball's in the strike zone for a while.
Fly ball left field. Melky Cabrera will put it away. Later tonight, catch a new Forbes Sports Money for an exclusive interview with Liverpool FC Managing Director Ian Ayre on the historic soccer club's financial future. Plus, a look at the recent soccer valuations and the change at the top. It's a new Forbes Sports Money tonight after the postgame, only on Yes.
Haven't done any center stage reads for you lately. Who's that? Big name
right now? Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner.
Very good. And got Curtis Martin coming up.
All right. So you're staying busy.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
There's a strike.
Take the baby to the shows?
What was that?
Take the baby to the shows?
Not yet.
No?
No. Crying,
that doesn't go well.
Isn't really good for the audio.
You can cover up a lot with makeup, but not crying, huh?
Nope. The 0-1. 1-1.
Wait till you go to the restaurant. And the baby starts crying. People start looking at you. It's like, you can't reason with a 3-month-old. It's just the way it is.
That's why it's a good idea not to take them to a restaurant.
So you just bring in. That's what you tell them. Every movie I've ever seen about New York, they bring in Japanese or Chinese food anyway, right?
The 1-1. You can get every type of food in New York City.
Yeah, they run it in, in brown bags off bikes.
Yeah.
Can't do that in Cincinnati.
No.
You either order Domino's or you go out to eat.
Because everybody lives like 40, 50 miles apart, right?
Yeah, right. The stagecoaches.
Yeah. Hafner's on first, 1 man out, 1-2 count on Nix. Swing and a miss. Nix down on strikes.
Lincoln has a sharp slider if he gets ahead. Again, ahead of Nix, and this is a ball that ends up off the plate, but boy, it was there for a while.
Well, with the lefty Cano coming up, John Gibbons takes a slow walk to the mound, and he is going to call on the left-hander Aaron Loop. Yankees looking for more. They lead by 2. Runner on first base, 2 outs. Lincoln is out. Live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Yankees baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Yankees.com for details. Well, this one has not been a picture-perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but the Yankees do lead 4-2. And a new pitcher for the Blue Jays is Aaron Loop, and he's going to face Robinson Cano with a runner on first and 2 outs. Yankees have suffered enough losses in this game that they don't want to lose this game. Francisco Cervelli knocked out in the first inning, a foul tip to the bare hand. He's going to have to undergo surgery and will be out a minimum of 6 weeks. And then Ivan Nova left the game in the 3rd inning with pain in his elbow. See Loop's numbers, and he's going to undergo an MRI tonight to see what the problem is there. Cano thinks about a push bunt.
Yeah, you saw Laurie over there. I mean, he was playing him way to pull, and Robbie said, "You know what? It's a sidearm lefty. Maybe I'll just drop one down on you." And it wasn't. I mean, that's almost a sacrifice. He just knows that if he gets that down anywhere out in here, it's a base hit. See, Luke really drops down.
As dangerous as Cano is, I think John Gibbons would give him a single there. Take it.
Absolutely. Well, the defense didn't change. I mean, obviously it's not now because there's 2 strikes, but the defense didn't change when he showed bunt on strike 1. You see, Rasmus, we talked about earlier how shallow he plays in center field. That
has to be a coaching decision, though, because they don't want balls to fall in front of him I guess they'll take their chances with anything over his head.
Well, you see, I mean, usually there's an arc out there. That's a straight line because the center fielder is so shallow. And you know, you leave it up to the players usually. As an outfielder, you got to know whether you come back on a ball or come in on a ball better. And that's kind of dictates where you play. Obviously, Rasmus thinks that he can play shallow and still get back to the ball. And Andrew Jones was the one that I remember being the best at it.
Well, Andrew Jones won 10 Gold Gloves.
Absolutely.
The Yankees had a weekend in Toronto last weekend. I believe 2 or 3 balls went over his head, so he is getting burned.
We've had a couple. We've had a couple today.
2-2. Chop to second as Torres is there, and that's going to do it. But the Yankees do take the lead. They scored 2 runs on 1 hit with just 1 left. Overbay had a triple to start it all. He drove in a run, and then Jeter said, well, I'll take that for sure. 4-2 Yanks. There's been a long conversation between John Gibbons and Chad Fairchild, not animated at all, but Gibbons talking about something, and now heads back to the dugout. He was out there for the entire time that Phelps was warming up. Gibbons' second tour of duty with the Blue Jays. Good guy. A lot expected from this team, and so far they haven't done that well. 9-14. And Kawasaki will lead off against Phelps. Joe's bunt takes inside. 1-0. They got it wrong on the board unless we missed 3 pitches.
Where'd you go? Well, all of a sudden I took a blink, and the next thing you know, we've missed pitches.
That's 2-0. Yankees play in at the corners. And there's a strike from Phelps. A lot of the same mannerisms by these two.
It's the idle on the left, though, wasn't it?
Count 2-2. Ichiro's always stretching. I'd be stunned if he ever pulled a muscle. Lined to Nix. 1 out. And Paul, when you go in the clubhouse before the game, he's going through an elaborate stretching routine. It's amazing the contortions that he goes through, and he'll conduct interviews while he's doing it. but he's quite limber.
It's nonstop. And yeah, the one day I walked in, the first time I saw it, he was in the batting cage. It was during a rain delay. No, they didn't have batting practice, and boy, he was in the cage doing sprints and jumps and hops. He's got a routine that he sticks with.
It's worked out for him.
Yeah.
Jeff Kellogg said he did not go for the count 1-1.
If you look at a lot of the Japanese, kind of their schedules, that their pitchers throw more than our pitchers do. The stretching, their spring trainings are much different. The conditioning part of the game, a big part of what they believe in, what they do.
Well, that became a source of contention with the Red Sox with Daisuke Matsuzaka. They thought he threw too much. And they wanted him to cut down on throwing. He just felt more comfortable throwing some more between starts. And then with the pitch count here in the States, that 100 is the magic number. That's not how it is in Japan. And Daisuke's the type of guy that worked a lot of 3-2 counts. He had 100 pitches out the 5 innings. He didn't want to come out of games. But that's a signing that did not work out for the Red Sox. He had that one good year, but struggled quite a bit. Now, I believe he's in the Indians minor league system.
Well, if you look what happened, I mean, he pitched well for the first couple months, but he did. He threw more pitches than anybody else early in the season. Big games. Boston, it's cold, it's raining.
Davis strikes out for the second out.
Again, as we talk, you've got to notice what a great job Phelps does. He comes in, he shuts teams down, he knows how to pitch, he has movement to both sides of the plate. And the thing about it is he looks confident out there throwing strikes. It's not like he's trying to fool anybody like a lot of the pitchers out there, especially young guys. They're kind of scared to throw the ball over the plate. They don't want to give up hits and runs. Phelps is a different kind of pitcher. He knows how to pitch, and he'll throw strikes. And Larry Rothschild and Joe Girardi have got to appreciate that in a young pitcher.
Count 2-0 on Rasmus. Colby had an RBI single in the third, struck out in the first.
A lot of times the pitchers and catchers, they don't forget about hits. Rasmus drove a curveball that was away, kind of hooked in the right field. Everything's been hard since, inside for the most part. Think you could get away with that look there, man?
No.
No?
I'm not getting away with this look.
Well, you're here all dressed up. Yeah.
Here's the 3-0. There's a strike, taking all the way, 3-1.
Did you ever have long hair? High school?
Yeah. High school, college? Not like that.
Not a mullet or anything?
No. Part in the middle, though. Rocking it. Oh, yeah.
The 70s feather.
Oh, yeah. Rasmus walks. Let's check something out with Bob Lorenz. He's got an update.
Look at your feathered look.
Thanks, Bob. We'll check in with Bob later. Breaking ball of Bautista is a strike, and that Brave team can hit.
Yeah, I mean, they're leading the world in home runs right now, and doing well. I mean, it's a neat team, and that's a good matchup. When you talk about some of the interleague guys, Detroit, Atlanta, two good teams.
Hammered foul. Quickly 0-2 on Bautista. Yankees up 4-2. We are in the top of the fifth inning. Phelps deals. Stewart holds Rasmus at first.
tell you, defensively, Stewart is as good as anybody. Catching, calling the game, blocking balls. I mean, this is a tough pitch. He's ever hang right, keeps it in front.
The 2-2.
Every once in a while, I think you throw such a good pitch, you kind of fool the umpire. Very close.
You like this, Paul? That's how I look. That was my hair.
Right here, let's part it for you. Let's try to feather it a little bit there.
Popped up. As Overbay moves over to the stands, but can't get there. And if you notice in that picture, you're always like haunting me. That part, the picture to the right is you making fun of me. See right there. You're like
That's an
Waldo.
everyday occurrence. Is that like, what day is that, Michael?
Every day.
Hey, what do you got around your neck there?
I think it was a kerchief.
A kerchief?
Or an ascot, something like that.
Really?
Maybe a dickie.
You Thurston Howell?
3-2. Swung on and missed as Bautista down on strikes. Another strong inning for David Phelps. No runs, no hits, no errors, one left. We're halfway through. Yankees up by 2. Watch live Yes Network Yankee games on your PCs or laptops with the Verizon Fios. Get a full season of live Yankees games on the go for just $29.99. And the first pitch to Wells is outside. If you're a Verizon Fios TV customer with Fios Internet, go to yesnetwork.com to get more information and subscribe now. Bottom of the 5th, Yankees lead this one 4-2. Wells has a single, a run scored, and an RBI. It'll be Wells, Stewart, and Ichiro here in the 5th.
I stood up there, Michael. You looked over, saw an empty chair. Did you think I left?
I wouldn't have blamed you. The pitch is inside, 2-1.
I saw that little double take.
How about that? He's been doing that this season way more than last year. And he gets a single through the right side for a hit.
And with that release point, I mean, you pick up the ball late as a right-hander, you know, you're probably going to get a lot of tail because his sidearm just hammers it to right field. Good swing. You know, the more success he has hitting the ball to right, the more comfortable he's going to get doing it. He's going to become a better hitter.
Let's see if they have Stewart bunt here. Tack on another run. Nope, they're going to have him swing away. Pitch is high. Stewart has been up twice with 2 walks. One and one. Well, this is certainly not an artistic game by any stretch. Pitchers not throwing strikes, really laboring. And the Yankees do take pitches. They've been out hit by the Blue Jays 5-4, but all the walks, they're up 4-2. Grounded to third. Laurie to second. On to first. Double play.
Well, I tell you what, Laurie got a tough hop there and turned it into a double play. Wow. He's talking about that ball ended up in his face, which just, I mean, this ball's supposed to stay down. Next thing you know, it's like, wow. See how the. Uh-oh.
Pitch to Ichiro, it's a strike. That one sliced into the seats over the Blue Jay dugout. Ichiro slowly inching the average up to where he would want it to be. He's at 246. Started the season slowly, but Duncan a hit in here, there, a couple of hits.
He had the big hit in Tampa, and it really seemed to kind of turn things on for him. Tough at bat there, but he's had better bats recently.
No runs a hit because of the double play. Nobody left. We go to the 6th. Yankees are leading us 4-2. It's the Joe Girardi Show as Joe looks back at the first month of the season, including this tough week against American League East foes, the Rays and the Jays. It's the Joe Girardi Show, new Sunday at 5 only on Yes. Joe's got a couple more things to be concerned about with today's game. He lost one of his catchers to a broken hand. Francisco Cervelli on a foul tip in the first inning left the game, has a fractured right hand and has to undergo surgery, minimum of 6 weeks out. And then Ivan Nova left the ball game in the third inning with a really sore elbow. and is undergoing an MRI. See what's going on. We go to the 6th. Here's Edwin Encarnacion, and there's a strike.
So you got to replace Cervelli.
So they called up. They're going to probably call up Austin Romine.
You know, Nova's going to miss a start, whether at best, and then you got to make a decision about Euclid in the next couple of days also.
This is what Romine's done at AAA. So he's gotten off to a nice start, and they know he can catch. If he can hit, he can do the job, but he can really catch. That one is really driven deep to left center field. Giving chase. Gardner looking up. See ya. Another home run for Encarnacion. That's his 3rd of the series, 2nd of the game, and the Yankees lead 4-3.
I'll tell you what, he is getting hot. He came in here just starting to turn it around, and boy, this series, you can tell he's been on everything. Oh, that ball's even away. He stays back and just hammers it to left center field. Where that came from, but he's getting to use that new home run trot a lot this series.
There's Melky, and there's a strike.
Let's see where we go here, Michael. Yep, hit the Scott sign on a fly. You get an extra point for that.
That's quite a shot. 7 home runs now for Encarnacion. And 16 ribbies. That one's driven deep to right. Fair ball, it's gone. It's a foul ball. Into the night. Into the bullpen.
Off the fertilizer sign.
Could not hold up, so Melky down on strikes.
Yeah, that's what you like to see. I mean, Phelps, he does everything you want as a pitcher. You give up a home run, it's a solo home run, so what? Get the next guy. Good pitch here. Slider down, in, off the plate. Melky can't hold up.
Well, Paul, in answer to your Nova question, we don't know what the deal is with him, but let's assume he does miss a start. It lines up that Phelps will move right in. He's pitching in long relief right now, so I hope he's stretched out. Pitched well as a starter in spring training. He'd be the guy who slides in. Chien-Ming Wang has also been pitching for the Yankees in the minor leagues. Pitched okay. Doesn't throw nearly as hard as he used to, but he's smarter. And locates and changes speeds. But I don't think the Yankees would go that route. Adam Warren is another guy in the bullpen that they could go to, but I believe it's going to be Phelps. And that's assuming that Nova does miss a start. You don't walk off a mound in the 3rd inning of the game with a sore elbow and bounce right back. There's Boone Logan in the bullpen. 1-1.
Kind of touched on it too. Very surprising. First couple innings, 92, 93. Pinpoint control. It was 11 out of the first 12 pitches, strikes. Just out of nowhere. Must have talked to Stevie about it, that it was bothering him, because immediately he just shook his head, took the ball, and he was gone. There was no talking out on the mound.
And what was amazing, Paul, is we watched and he didn't show or flinch and give any hint that he was in pain, but the Yankees saw something. Stewart saw something, and Donahue and Girardi were out to the mound, and Nova was out of the game. The 2-2 buzzed him upstairs, 3-2.
Again, I mean, Phelps, if you give him a target, he's very close to it. And you'll see the target here. He wants it up and in. If you're going to go up and in, don't miss up out over the plate. And he doesn't.
Top of the 6th inning, 4-3 Yankees. Strike 3. Chris Stewart just forgot how many outs there were.
We fooled him.
Which is rare to see a catcher forget it. Now he turns in the dugout where he's going to get a lot of grief. Yeah, he was stepping toward the dugout on strike 3.
Phelps really set this pitch up on that 2-2 fastball up and in. Here's a fastball just down and away right on the corner.
There's got to be a lonely feeling, Paul. You're the only one moving toward the dugout.
You know, in right field, it happens to everybody. In right field, you don't get caught as much. But when you're catching, it's kind of hard to hide.
Count 2-0 to Brett Laurie. He is singled and walked. Clipped the outside corner. 2-1. And the count 3-1. Swing and a miss. Goes 90-91, but he gets it by you. He's got movement on that fastball.
It's really true to his target. It stays there. It doesn't tail out over the plate.
The 3-2
changeup or slider there, kind of hung it out over the plate. He's thrown him some good. When you look back, Laurie, a few years ago, you see the spin on that slider. Didn't have much bite on that one. Just expected huge things from him, and obviously it's early in this year, and he's just off to a kind of a slow start. But you can see why Toronto was excited to bring in these younger players. It's just hard to think that immediately you can win in the American League East.
Well, Phelps strikes out the side after the home run, served up to Encarnacion. He's had 2 today. In the second inning, one off the facing of the second deck, and here in the 6th, he hits one into the Blue Jay bullpen. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Three, it'll be the bottom third of the Yankee order against Aaron Loop. Pitches outside. So, after the home run to Encarnacion, Phelps strikes out the side. He's faced 15 batters, Paul, 9 strikeouts.
He's done nothing but just earn this opportunity for these starts that will be coming up.
And that's a career high for him in his young career. Nunez got an RBI and a fielder's choice ground out in the second, then was hit by a pitch and scored in the 4th. Encarnacion is there for the first out. He's just not right at the plate. You can see it.
Yeah, he's kind of jumping at the ball. And, you know, as quick as he was last year, you can see that he's kind of pushing the bat this year. It just slows it down.
Well, it's time for the game summary brought to you by your local Nissan dealer. 4-4-0 for the Yanks, 3-6-0 for the Blue Jays. Cervelli left with a broken hand. Nova, his elbows bothering him. Each left the game. Overbay an RBI triple, a run scored. Phelps, as we mentioned, 9 strikeouts in 4 innings. Broken bat, ground ball by Overbay. Is Torres to Encarnacion, 2 outs.
Yeah, we talked about Lyle Overbay, you know, with his troubles with lefties recently, and, you know, this isn't an easy at bat for a lefty right here. You see his sidearm delivery. Not the kind of guy you want to try to get comfortable with as a lefty.
Well, here's Travis Hafner. Pinch hit in the 4th inning and drew a walk. 3 infielders on the right side. And when the Blue Jays do this, they take the third baseman Laurie and put him out in short right field. They don't move the shortstop to the second base side. This way they only have 1 player out of position, not 2.
I'll tell you what, your approach as a lefty against a sidearm lefty is the other way. Not a bad thing just to shoot a ball right down there in the hole.
And Hafner in Toronto tried to bunt against the shift. I believe he bunted back to the mound, but it was a nice attempt. Right now, you're not looking for a base runner per se. You're trying to hit one out of the park, so he's not going to do it here.
What kind of hitter you were, Michael? Always looking for the home run. Never set the table for anybody.
Very selfish.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just wanted to round the base, wave to the crowd, and stuff like that.
Carried over into my regular life. Swing and a miss. You ever play stickball in Cincinnati?
Nah, we don't
Never.
play sticks. No, we
Really?
got grass and lawns. We play baseball. Not out on concrete.
The 2-2?
You ever play home run derby with tennis balls?
Yes.
Oh, we do that all the time. Nothing worse than playing in Team O'Neill's backyard, though, because right field was shaded by like 3 trees.
So you had to go the other way?
Well, you could hit a bomb, and if a tree knocked it down, tough luck. So my brothers, all being right-handed, had a big advantage. Other than they were all older than me, too.
It's those games in the backyard that really do make a baseball game. Don Mattingly always spoke about his backyard in Evansville. He had a big oak tree that hung over in right field. He knew he couldn't hit the ball that way, so that's how he learned to hit the ball to left. That was the only way he could get hits.
Nothing like taking your older brother deep with a tennis ball. You know?
Did that happen often?
Not often enough. The fights usually ended up at the end of the game. Somebody got teased or something. Somebody was always cheating. It was never a fair game.
And Hafner works a walk against Luke.
We need to, one of these days, we'll meet on your old stomping grounds and meet for a stickball game. Give me the rules.
Right.
And we'll play a game of stickball. I've never played. Some of the greatest pictures I've ever seen were like Willie Mays meeting the kids playing stickball and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's not part of what we did because, like I said, we were in the backyard and grass, so we got to do that.
We stand you up against a brick wall. They paint the box.
Yeah.
And you just fire a Spalding at you.
What is it? Like a racquetball?
No, a little pink ball.
I look forward to that. I mean, it's not like a broomstick. It's
a broomstick.
It's a regular, so you don't have much room for air.
That's exactly right.
Really?
And you know I'm coming up and in.
You know I'm charging a mine if you hit me.
Count 1-1. The 7 walks by the Yankees, a season high this year.
I look forward to that, Mike. We'll wait till it's summer and it's hot.
Well, we'll wait till my right shoulder's totally rehabilitated, but it's feeling better. Grounded foul. You still think you have the broomstick speed?
You know what? That'd be weird because I've never done it before. I mean, obviously I've swung a bat, but a broomstick against a real light ball like that, it's going to be weird. I'll never hear the end of it if you strike me out, right?
Never, ever.
Are the rules the same? You get 3 strikes?
Yeah.
Can you walk?
Yeah, you can walk.
Oh, all right. So you have ghost man out there. So if you walk me, I got a ghost man on first, right? Okay.
Right. There's 2 different types of stickball in New York, though. One is against a wall, and the other one, you kind of bounce the ball up. It's in the street. 2 sewers. You know, if you hit it 2 sewers, then you're a real good hitter.
Well, that's like cricket, then. I want to play. I want the hard thrower.
Against the wall?
Yeah.
All right. Then we can play some Johnny on the Pony, which is also a big New York game.
Johnny on the Pony?
Yeah.
I had a Shetland pony. His name was Tonka. And that was real Johnny on the Pony.
We've lived different lives, Mr. O'Neill. Here's the 2-2. Still 2-2. Breaking ball outside, 3-2.
See Luke, why he is a guy out of the pen, very tough on lefties. Not just a one guy. I mean, this is 35 pitches, so they're stretching him out too.
Pitch outside. Now the 8th walk drawn by the Yankees. I think that John Gibbons has seen enough. So he is going to signal to the bullpen, and it gives me time to tell Paul about off the curb, Red Rover, kick the can. We'll talk about all of these things. Ring Alivio.
Red Rover, come on over.
Yeah,
I know that one.
You'd have played that one.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So John Gibbons ambles out to the mound. He takes out the pitcher. We'll be back. And Roger Maris hits his first home run of the year, beginning his chase for the home run record. You know what stands out there, Paul? If they played 11 games in a row, that means they actually started the season on April 15th. So it started later. Yeah. Took him 11 games to hit a home run. He finished with 61.
And that wasn't the abbreviated season. That wasn't the 150.
No, that was 162.
Right?
I believe that was the first year of 162.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. And that's why they gave him the asterisk after the home run, because they said that Babe Ruth did 154. Here's Steve Delabar.
Did you see
right-hander?
Sorry to interrupt. Did you see Meredith's picture today from the museum?
No, I did not see that.
Swinging Babe Ruth's bat. Impressive. Really, really cool.
Delabar deals to Nix inside. You're going to have to take a look at that. A lot of people sending me pictures, Paul. This is what a Spalding looks like. Jack Curry just sent
he
that.
autographed it for me. That's nice.
Yeah.
But he just happened to have one in his suit pocket or something? How did he get a hold of that thing?
Jack comes with props. He really does. There's a strike. 2-1. First and second. 2 outs. Bottom of the 6th. Yanks up by 1. And Delabar deals. Delabar had elbow surgery. Was a teacher. Friend said, you know, well, you could still throw. He was playing in some games on the side. Ended up getting back into the big leagues despite serious elbow surgery. Swing and a miss, 96 miles an hour, so he comes in and throws heat. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 2 men left on base. Some youngsters getting into it as the Yankees lead this one 4-3. Yankees Baseball on Yes is brought to you in part by the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport Limited Edition. Visit MitsubishiCars.com/tomorrow. By Blimpie, America's Sub Shop. And by your Tri-Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2013 Pilot. Nice night here in New York City as the Yankees are holding on to a 4-3 lead as we go to the 7th inning. And they will go to the bullpen and try to recreate what they did yesterday, Paul. Jabba Chamberlain, David Robertson, Mariano Rivera. So Jabba's first here in the 7th.
Again, you're in a close game, and you get to that 7th inning, and you just got to, you get to the guys you really count on, and Robertson and Mariano, and Jabba did a good job last night. Try to back that up tonight.
Jabba's faced 36 batters this season, and he's thrown 29 first pitch strikes. So that's so important coming out of the bullpen. You see the Cadillac scoreboard has the Yankees up 4-3.
I'm surprised you don't match up here. or Boone Logan here, and then Java?
I'll tell you why. Why not?
Wow.
I think that hit Stewart, and he gave a look to Java as if he was crossed up. We'll have to see the pitch, but that's not a happy catcher.
Java, one's a fastball, two's a curve, I'm telling you. Because you can see he's looking for something else here. Wow.
Oh, yeah. You said before, how could you be crossed up with nobody on base or at first base? That's how.
I mean, you can see that's just hurt defense there. And Joe Girardi, look at his look from he knows exactly what happened. He's been there before.
Fouled away quickly. Well, the scoreboard says 0-2. We have 1-1. It is 1-1. We're right. So the first one was not called the strike. Because I don't think that any of these batters coming up are going to scare you in terms of that. There's a backhanded stab by Nunez. Beautiful play. One away.
So Nunez, I mean, when things aren't going well offensively, Michael, you talked about it, his glove's been very solid. It's a good play right here. I mean, this is a short hop. That ball goes off his glove. All of a sudden, Toronto's got something going.
Now, here's your first true lefty hitter, because Asturias was a switch hitter, but Kawasaki from the left side hits a fly ball to right field. Ichiro's there for the second out.
That absolutely exploded. Every time Java gets these opportunities, and every time that he does well, it's just going to bode for his confidence. And your roles in the bullpen are just going to get stronger and stronger.
I just think that Boone Logan is up for Rasmus.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. So, switch hitter, lefty batter doesn't have much power, and then Rajay Davis. Count 0-2, so Java's throwing strikes.
The first strike to Davis was 95, too. Last night we talked about he was at 93. He was at 98, you said, in Toronto. So, like that fastball comes back. And when the fastball comes back, so does the breaking ball. It gets just a little bit sharper.
The 0-2. Line drive caught by Overbay, and Chamberlain works a 1-2-3 inning. So the first part of the three men in the bullpen works out as Java retires the side in order. And at the end of 6.5 innings of play here at the stadium, it's time for the 7th inning stretch. Yankees lead the Blue Jays 4-3, but we're going to stay right here in the Bronx to honor America.
Please direct your attention to the area behind home plate. And welcome two honored guests of the New York Yankees. Army Sergeant, First Class Cliff Snedeker, who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Army Corporal Timothy Strobel, who also served in Operation Iraqi Freedom. The Yankees would like to say thank you for your sacrifice and service to our nation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, please join in Kate Smith's rendition of God Bless America.
With the great pitchers that the Tigers have had, 17 strikeouts is the team record. Very cool for Anibal Sanchez. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning here at Yankee Stadium, and Robinson Cano, Vernon Wells, and Chris Stewart will come up against Delabar.
121 pitches, and you know that it's like alarming to hear that. But with Verlander, I mean, he throws well above that every game. So you know, Jim Leyland, kind of the old school manager. If guys throwing well, let him throw.
Cadillac scoreboard, 4-3 Yankees as they try to tag on more, give the bullpen some breathing room. Another good fastball by Delabar, foul back.
Delabar does. He runs it up there, and that ball is in on Robbie's hands.
There's another Robbie, David Robertson.
Dropped the Robbie on him.
Consistently at 96 so far, count 1-1. Got 96 past Nix to get out of that jam in the 6th inning. Took something off that one, 95, 2-1. Well, Steve Donahue has seen a lot of people in that trainer's room and probably filling in Joe Girardi on timetables, what's going on. You got to stick around for the postgame show with Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry and Meredith Morakovitz. Meredith is going into the Yankee clubhouse. She'll find out any information if there's any news on the MRI on Ivan Nova. So definitely stay tuned for that. Still got a lot of game left to go. The bottom of the 7th inning. The 3-1 to Cano. 3-2.
See the frustration there, Robbie. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball, but ball probably low and out of the zone. Probably ball 4. He said when Robbie, the only time he doesn't hit the ball hard is when he swings at a ball out of the zone.
The 2-2. Hammered down the right field line. It's a base hit. He rounds first. He'll go to second. Bautista comes up throwing a leadoff double for Cano.
I'll tell you what, Robbie Cano can hit. And I talk about it every single night. 97, 98, lefty, righty. It just does not matter. This ball's up out of the zone. A cutter, he pulls his hands in. Just hammers it. He's got a different sound than everybody else right now. While we got a little break here, Michael, you see a beautiful swing. I want to show you a cool picture. We talked about Meredith earlier. Swinging a bat that Babe Ruth used back in 1923. Hit his first home run. Is that a sweet picture or what?
Now, she told me it felt like a toothpick.
That is the actual
bat
that Babe Ruth used in 1923 from the Yankee Museum out there. Sweet. Love that picture. They don't ask us to do stuff like that.
No.
Huh?
Meredith has a good swing.
I was going to say, that doesn't look like the first swing she ever did.
No.
Maybe she grew up on stickball.
College athlete. Scholarship athlete.
I don't know. I've never hit in high-heel boots. I don't know how that works.
The 1-0. Check swing, slow ground ball to second, so that'll move Cano to third with 1 out.
Well, it looks like a funny swing, but boy, is that a big out. To get Robbie over there, we get an opportunity to steal a run here. Gonna have to play the infield in, I'm sure, at this point in the game. But you see him just pull the hands in and just steer that ball to the right side. Doesn't show up in the box scores, but everybody knows he did a good job there, getting Cano over. Laugh about it. That's a tough at bat to take the. That's a 97-mile-an-hour fastball bearing in on you. You got to try to steer it over to the other side of the field.
Showing bunt there with the infield in, takes a strike. That would have been a safety squeeze, not a suicide.
When the infield's in this close, I mean, you're not going to go on contact. You're going to see everything through the infield. So Stewart's going to have to get this ball to the outfield. Dug himself a hole 0-2.
3 pretty good arms in that outfield too, so it will not be easy to score. You got to give it a little bit of a ride. Bautista has the best arm of all. Just a rocket out in right field. The 0-2.
Right here as a hitter, you realize the situation. I mean, you've got a guy out there that's trying to get you out on a pitch out of the zone. You still got to be patient. You can't panic. Realize that if you battle hard enough, you'll get a pitch, something you can use. You can hit out in the outfield.
Nice save there by Aaron Sebia. Saved the run.
Yeah, those are tough. I mean, when a guy throws that hard and they snap off that breaking ball to try to get a strikeout. Good play.
Foul behind the plate, now to play. Neither team has done too much in these situations.
Both teams have had opportunities to have really big innings, bases loaded where you can really bust this game open. Stewart's battling him, and he's seeing his pitches. He's fouling off the tough ones, and as a hitter, that's all you can do is foul those tough pitches off until they try to do something perfect and they make a mistake.
The 1-2. Just keep spoiling fastballs.
There was a pitch right there you could handle. You could shoot that ball to right field. It was a pitch a little up out of the zone. One of the better pitches he had to hit to the outfield.
The 1-2. Swung on a miss. He took something off. Stewart was gearing up for 96 and got 86 and strikes out for the second out.
Yeah, I think Arancibia was a little nervous to call that slider again, so he just threw a changeup. Throw something off speed. The last slider in the dirt. The one pitch he had was that foul ball before. The ball up, out over the plate.
Well, Gibbons is playing a percentage. He's going to walk the future Hall of Famer, Ichiro, and take his chances with Eduardo Nunez, who has just not looked that great at the plate. Crowd doesn't like it, but it's the move to make for Gibbons. And you mentioned this before when he fouled out to the first baseman. It doesn't look like he's snapping the bat through the zone. Almost like he's dragging it. I'm talking about Nunez.
Yeah, it just looks like he's kind of pushing the bat. And what happens is your body gets out in front, and you kind of push the bat instead of staying behind it, where you can really let your hands get the bat head out. And, you know, it's such a fine line of staying back and getting out there too quick. But it's almost like you're aiming the bat instead of just letting it go and trusting everything that's going to happen.
So first and third, 2 outs. Count 1-0. Count 2-0. So Nunez today 0 for 2 with an RBI, also a run scored after being hit by a pitch. Count 2-1.
I went after that one, and you know, every once in a while when you're struggling, you know, you got to kind of gear back a little bit. You know, hit a ground ball up the middle, line drive up the middle. You can't get it all back in it at bat. You know, a 2-0 pitch fastball, sure, you gear up to hit something hard, but you can't try to hit it out of the park every time. Now he throws his good pitch, and now you're in a 2-strike count again.
Along with Paul O'Neill and Meredith Morakovitz, I'm Michael Kay. You're watching Yankees baseball right here on Yes. We thank you for joining us on this Friday evening at 4-3 Yankees, bottom of the 7th. First and third, 2 outs, 2-2 count on Nunez. And it gets past Arancibia. Here comes Cano. He'll score. And the Yankees now lead 5-3.
Again, the Yankees stole a run there. I don't know if he's crossed up or whatever. Looks like he missed it. Pass ball. Big break for the Yankees. That's an important run. See, Arancibia just want to throw it.
So that moves Ichiro to second. And the 3-2. Strike 3. Nunez down looking. But as Paul said, the Yankees get a very big run on 1 hit, 1 man left. We'll go to the 8th. Yanks up 2. starting pitchers, brought to you by Verizon Fios Quantum Internet, technology that makes you feel superhuman. That's powerful. Jay Happ will go for the Blue Jays, and CC Sabathia will try to bounce back from a subpar outing against the Rays. Our coverage begins at 3:30. Note the starting time, a little different. And first pitch will be right around 4:07, right here on Yes.
What time you want me here, Mike?
I'd like to see you here about 2.
2 o'clock?
Yeah.
4 o'clock start, all right.
David Robertson will make his 9th appearance. 8 strikeouts in 7 2/3. And sometimes the setup guy gets the short straw, so to speak, because this is a tough part of the lineup that he's going to have to face. Rasmus, Bautista, and Encarnacion. Hyundai scoreboard, 5-3 Yankees lead. Now, if Joe Girardi uses Mariano today, then he will not use him tomorrow, because Joe has said in the early going he is not using Mariano 3 days in a row. One and one. Crowd of 36,151 here in the Bronx.
Talked about that short straw, and it reminds me of the playoffs and the World Series, where if you had a tough 8th inning.
That one was bunted, foul in the air, but Stewart couldn't get there.
That's when Mariano would be in there for 2 innings. Joe Torre would bring him in for 5 or 6 outs. Wouldn't take a chance with anybody else when it came down to the last 4 or 5 outs of those important games. Obviously, you can't do that day in and day out. I think the last guy that you think about as a premier closer who used to come in and so 2-3 innings was Goose Gossage, now in the Hall of Fame. So.
Giving it a look is Nix. More than a look, he makes the play.
I think you're right, Michael. We talk about the wind, and you look out in right field, those flags are blowing that ball back towards the field. Nix gets over there, and it ends up being an easy play. Ball coming back towards the field. Wind does affect that high pop-up.
Here's the man they call Joey Bats in Toronto, Jose Bautista. And that's why. Driven deep to left field. See ya. A long home run into the second deck. And the Yankee lead is 5-4.
Wow, you see what Toronto's doing. I mean, they're scoring all their runs with big home runs, but it just shows how big that extra run was that the Yankees got. I'll tell you what, between him and Encarnacion, no doubters. This ball off the bat, gone.
And now you have to face Encarnacion, who has 2 home runs tonight. Popped up behind the plate. Stewart runs out of room. Now let's check out the Coors Light freeze cam on both of the Encarnacion home runs.
One away, one in. I'll tell you what, he hammered them both, and he got a great pitch to hit. Robertson had enough heat on that fastball that he didn't square it up, but that pitch was very hittable.
The 0-1. Popped up, foul. Stewart again. Runs out of room.
I'll tell you what, Robertson is challenged Encarnacion with 2 fastballs. Sometimes you feel so good up there that you just kind of overswing just a little bit.
And that's how good he feels his last 4 games. 5 home runs and 8 ribbies. The 0-2. Chop to second base. That's where Cano is. 2 outs.
Boy, it's 5-4, Michael, and it sure feels a lot more than that, doesn't it? As much trouble as Toronto pitched themselves into. Walks, where it was 8 or 9 walks. That's a lot for a Little League game, let alone a Major League game.
It seems like they should be up on more than one.
Yeah.
Here's Melky Cabrera, 1 for 3. Ground ball up the middle. Nunez gets him. Nice pick there by Overbay. And that'll do it here in the 8th. But the Blue Jays score a run on a loud, long solo home run by Jose Bautista. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Yankees up 1. Official truck of the New York Yankees. So really nice play by Eduardo Nunez. Ends the top of the 8th inning. And the Yankees go to the bottom of the 8th, up 1. And a new pitcher for the Blue Jays will be the ageless one, left-hander Darren Oliver. And this is the time to bring him in. The Yankees give you 3 lefties in a row, Overbay, Hafner, and Gardner. So Oliver in his 11th game.
Much different pitcher than he was early in his career, where he had an overpowering fastball and kind of struggled with his control a little bit. Now he's learned how to get lefties out, do a great job out of the pen.
Hyundai scoreboard 5-4, Yankees lead. Blue Jays wanted him back. They couldn't find him for a lot of the offseason. Couldn't get a hold of him. And he wasn't sure if he wanted to return and continue his career, but they finally did get a hold of him and convinced him that he'd be a big part of the bullpen. So here he is.
Sounds like Coney.
It's tough to get Coney or you on the phone.
Yeah. I at least return calls. Coney, I think that's a fictitious number. I don't even think it exists.
That one's driven to right field. Going back Bautista. He's on the track. He'll make the play for the first out. Hey, to vote for the Chevy player of the game, visit votechevy.com, and results will be revealed in the postgame show. Mariano Rivera is getting ready.
Can I vote now, Michael?
Sure.
I think I'm going to give it to Phelps. He did a great job.
All right.
You're not with me there?
I think I might have to be. Nobody's done a great job offensively.
No standouts. We've had some good at-bats.
There's a strike.
87 with just a little cut. Like I said, he's really adjusted to being a bullpen pitcher where he used to try to just overpower people with a fastball and had a curveball.
Count 0-2. If you want to look ahead to the 9th inning, it'll be Aaron Sebia, Laurie, and Isturis against Rivera. Count 2-2. Strike 3. Hafner down looking. 2 outs. Remember, after the last out, you have to stick around for the WB Mason postgame show. Why? Because Bob Lorenz and Jack Curry are back in our studios, and they'll break down this game and get the latest from all around baseball. Plus, Meredith Morakovich will get the reaction from the clubhouse, the latest on Cervelli, the latest on Nova. It's the WB Mason postgame, and it's only on Yes. All right, here is Brett Gardner with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th.
I hope that the Yankees, for the Yankees' sake, they hold on to this lead, because that would be the only good news around here with all the injuries going around.
That one is driven deep to right field, giving Chase Bautista looking up. See ya! A solo home run for Brett Gardner and a big tack-on run as the Yankees lead 6-4.
Brett Gardner's getting a full plate of left-handers recently. All of a sudden, if you see enough of them, you start to feel a little bit more comfortable against them. See, Oliver just kind of hangs that slider. Quick bat, quick swing. You bring a smile to your face, Michael. That's what it takes is a hanging slider.
Foul back. The 2-1. 3-1. It's at 3-1 on the board, but it is 2-2. I apologize. It's not 3-2 on the board, but we have the count right at 2-2. And the pitch. Now it's 3-2. And he walked him. So now Oliver is on at the face Robinson Cano.
Again, I mean, if you're going to live by that cutter, you got to die by it too. 3-2 cutter just off the outside corner.
And here is Cano, who is 1 for 3 with a walk. Doubled his last time up. That was against Steve Delabar. That one's lofted to left. Melky Cabrera is there, and that will do it. So the Yankees get a big insurance run. 1 run, 1 hit, the home run by Gardner, 1 man left. 9th inning coming up. New York Yankees. So Mariano Rivera will try to close it out for the 2nd straight night. This will be his 9th game. He's 7 for 7 in save opportunities. 8 innings, 6 hits, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. Last night he was dealing, Paul.
He really was. Cutter was really, really moving. As good as he's been all year. To see that late movement in lefties, just no chance. See the broken bat. The front door cutter there. Easy inning for Mariano.
Well, he'll take more of that right here. Pitching in back-to-back games for the 2nd time this season. He did it against the Diamondbacks on the 16th and the 17th. And Aaron Sevilla leads it off. He's 0 for 3. Rivera has made a total recovery from the awful knee injury he suffered in Kansas City last year. A knee injury that probably prompted him to come back this season because he didn't want to come back to the stadium as a retired player and have people remember that the last thing he did on the field was be carried off by a golf cart. So here he is as a 43-year-old as the Yankee closer. He's been their closer every year starting in 1997. And after the injury last year, Rafael Soriano did a great job filling in. But this is Mo's job.
It's a pitch that ended the game last night against Aaron Sevilla. That cutter you throw right at his hip and try to run over the inside corner. Pretty close.
The 2-2. Derek Jeter is here, and he's trying to come back from a pretty serious injury that he suffered last year, and he was asked if Mariano served as motivation for him to be able to come back at full strength. Lined right at Nix. 1 out. This was before the game. Mariano holding court with the enemy. And look at how intently they are all listening to what he's talking about. Anyway, Derek said, I don't need Mariano Rivera to get hurt to know that I can come back. He said, I wouldn't want Mariano to get hurt to prove that point to me. I know I can come back. And Mariano knew that he could come back. He was actually trying to get back by the end of last year. So the count 0-1 on Brett Laurie. One and one. One and two.
Again, it's just how precise his location is with that cutter. I mean, sure, it's great. It's 91. It's the movement, but it's just where he puts it time and time again.
Nice piece of hitting by Laurie. Just stroked it to the right side to pick up a hit. And that's going to bring up Meister Isturiz. And a strike. Count 1-1. So Isturiz steps in as the tying run in this game. Yankees lead 6-4. And another base hit. This one squeezes through the right side. Now the tying runs are on base.
Every once in a while, a ground ball will find a hole, not hit extremely hard, but with the runner on first base, that hole on the right side gets a little bit bigger. Over in here, you see a 3 or 4 hopper makes it through the infield.
Here's Minonori Kawasaki. Pinch runner at first base, Emilio Bonifacio. Laurie's at second. (1-0) to Kawasaki. 1-1.
Pitch there. Back-to-back, you talked about it. I mean, this is only the second time this year he's going in back-to-back nights. Last thing you want to do is see a long inning where he has to throw a lot of pitches.
One and two. Now evens at 2-2. 2 runners on. We're in the 9th inning. Yankees lead this 6-4. Second game of a 4-game set. They won last night, trying to ensure at least a split. The 2-2. Swung on and missed. And the Blue Jays are down to their final out.
This ball, everything else was down and in. This ball's up and in. Again, just that late movement. Just eats up left-handers.
Here's Davis. Foul back. Davis tonight is 1 for 4. He singled in the 3rd inning. The veteran closer sets and deals. Grounded to short. Nunez fires to second. Not in time. Everybody's safe. Bases loaded. So pinch running Bonifacio works out there as he's faster than Asturias, and he got into second ahead of that throw by Nunez.
Again, you put the ball in play, you got to defensively, you got to make plays, and he just absolutely beat the ball. Now, as an infielder, you got to realize that anything on the ground you've got to knock down somehow. Keep that ball in the infield. Mariano saying he missed the base.
So now the tying runs at second base, and here is Colby Rasmus. 1 for 3, an RBI single in the third. The guy lurking on deck is Jose Bautista. One 0. 2-0. There's a strike. Two and two.
What you come here for, Michael? To see all the fans on their feet to try to get that last out.
Just stays alive.
Rasmus fouled off a tough pitch there. That's one of the better cutters he's thrown all night. Right in on his hands.
A long night comes down to this batter. Bases loaded, 2 outs. And the pitch. He got him. Yankees win. Rasmus swings through a high fastball. Mo nails it down. And the Yankees grab this one 6-4. So what could have been a really painful day with the loss of your catcher and your pitcher having to leave the game with a sore elbow, Mariano made some of it right with this pitch.
Again, he just doesn't give in. In off the lefties. We've seen it time and time again. Mariano closing out another one.
Stick around for the postgame show to find out who's today's Chevy Player of the Game. Yankees win this one 6-4. They hold off 3 home runs by the Blue Jays and a couple of injuries. Come out victorious.